Shame is not simply an emotion, it is a social execution. When someone attempts to shame you in front of others, they are not merely criticizing you, they are attempting to erase your identity in real time. You recognize the sensation immediately. Heat rises through your chest and neck. The room seems to go quiet. Your body contracts as if the space around you has suddenly become hostile. Your instincts demand action. Defend yourself, explain, apologize, counterattack. But here is the truth most people never learn. The instant you react, you lose. The moment you try to prove that you are not what they accuse you of being, you have already stepped inside their frame. You are no longer in control. You are responding, not commanding. But there is another way. A way that does not rely on argument or emotion. A method so precise that it reverses the pressure entirely and leaves the attacker exposed. This is not about shouting louder or appearing tougher. It is about psychological dominance. It is a method used by strategic thinkers for centuries, long before modern social games existed. Once you understand it, shame stops being painful. It becomes fuel. Most people believe pride is the opposite of shame. That belief is false. The true opposite of shame is indifference. But real indifference requires the destruction of the part of you that seeks approval. That process is uncomfortable. It feels like losing something. In reality, you are shedding dependency. What follows is not social advice. It is psychological conditioning. You are going to learn how to dismantle public attacks without insults, without escalation, and without emotional leakage. By the end, disrespect will no longer feel threatening. It will feel like an invitation to demonstrate control. This knowledge is not gentle, it is strategic. Once you understand the mechanics behind social humiliation, you can never return to ignorance. To control shame, you must first understand what happens inside your body when it appears. When someone says something designed to humiliate you, your brain interprets it as a threat to survival. In early human history, shame meant exclusion, and exclusion meant death. Your nervous system still responds as if your life is at risk. Your heart rate increases, your thoughts scatter. Your impulse is to restore status immediately. This is where most people fail. In modern hierarchies, the person who reacts emotionally is the person who loses authority. The attacker understands this instinctively. They rely on it. They expect anger, stammering, or submission. They want to cast you as the unstable one. If you follow instinct, you play the role perfectly. A strategic mind does not obey instinct, it overrides it. The first realization that changes everything is this. Their attack is not about you. It never is. Shame is projection. People shame others only when they feel threatened, insecure, or empty. A confident and fulfilled person does not need to diminish others. When someone attempts to humiliate you, they are revealing something about themselves. Fear, envy, resentment, or desperation for attention. Once you recognize this, the emotional charge weakens. You stop internalizing their words. You begin observing their behavior, and the observer holds power. Now comes the pause. Silence is unbearable for most people. When an insult lands, it creates a vacuum. Social conditioning urges you to fill it immediately. Laughter, defense, explanation, anything to relieve the tension. But silence is not weakness. Silence is pressure. When the insult is delivered, do nothing. Do not smile. Do not glare. Do not avert your eyes. Remain completely still. Maintain eye contact without aggression. Count silently to 3. In those seconds, the dynamic shifts. The audience expects a reaction. When it does not arrive, attention turns back to the attacker. Confusion appears. Discomfort grows. The silence becomes heavy, but it is no longer yours to carry. The burden returns to the person who created it. They may attempt to recover. They may laugh it off. They may escalate. This is not confidence. It is panic. Do not rescue them from it. Let the silence expose what they initiated. After the pause, when you speak, you do not defend yourself. Defense implies guilt. Instead, you redirect the focus to their behavior. You respond with detached curiosity, a simple observation, a calm question, something that reframes their action as strange or emotional. Suddenly, the conversation is no longer about you. It is about why they felt compelled to speak that way. There is another variation that disarms attacks entirely. Agreement without shame. If the criticism is partially true, own it without apology. When you accept what they expected you to deny, the weapon dissolves. Shame only works when you resist it. When you accept yourself fully, there is nothing left for others to exploit. When you remove your own shame, no one else can apply it to you. Public humiliation is rarely about the target. It is a performance for observers. The attacker seeks validation from the group. Most people mistakenly focus on stopping the attacker. That is the wrong objective. The real objective is the audience. People do not admire emotional volatility. They admire control. When you remain calm under attack, authority transfers to you automatically. The aggressor appears unstable. You appear grounded. There is a subtle technique that accelerates this shift. When the insult lands, instead of immediately looking at the attacker, briefly glance at someone else nearby. A neutral expression, a faint acknowledgement, no words. This creates a silent alliance with the audience. The attacker becomes isolated without realizing it. Power often belongs to the person who appears to care the least. Slow movements, measured breathing, minimal speech. These signals communicate dominance without confrontation. In extreme cases, where someone thrives on provocation, the most effective response is complete erasure. You do not argue, you do not acknowledge, you do not even register their presence. You continue your activity as if they do not exist. This is not punishment, it is deletion. Being ignored triggers a primal response. Recognition equals existence. Indifference removes it. The attacker may escalate, but each escalation only highlights their desperation. You remain unchanged. True mastery of this approach requires internal certainty. If you secretly doubt your own value, the techniques collapse. Confidence cannot be faked at this level. Micro-expressions expose insecurity instantly. This is why the foundation is internal. Shame hurts only when you outsource your self-worth, when you allow external voices to audit your value. Machiavellian philosophy emphasizes strength rooted in self-knowledge. When you know who you are, insults lose power. A lion does not argue with someone who calls it small. This requires confronting your own flaws honestly, not hiding them, not denying them, accepting them. The truths you refuse to face are the only ones others can use against you. Once you stop hiding from yourself, others lose leverage. At that point, social dynamics reverse. You stop entering rooms seeking approval. You begin assessing whether others meet your standards. Control shifts silently. There are moments when silence alone is insufficient. In those cases, words must be precise. One sentence, no explanation. Brevity signals authority. A short question that exposes motive. A calm request that forces repetition. A statement that reframes their attack as emotional instability. These are surgical tools, not weapons of rage. After the exchange, disengage. Attention is currency. Withdraw it. Move on. Do not linger. The most humiliating outcome for an attacker is arrest. This philosophy matters because modern society rewards public shaming. Online platforms amplify it. Social punishment has become entertainment. Without psychological armor, people retreat into conformity and silence. These methods are not about cruelty, they are about protection, about preserving autonomy in a hostile environment. You are not meant to use this to dominate the weak. You are meant to use it to defend yourself from those who weaponize humiliation. The next time you feel that familiar heat rising, pause, observe, let silence work. What you once feared becomes an advantage. Here is the question that matters. If someone tried to publicly shame you tomorrow, would you react or would you remain unmovable? If this shifted how you see power and control, leave your thoughts in the comments. Support the channel by liking this video and subscribing for more deep explorations into psychology, dominance, and human behavior.